So welcome everyone. Welcome to VizConnect. So my name is Sagar Kapoor and I'm a part of customer success team at Tableau. So VizConnect is about connecting you with the art of data visualization and storytelling. So what is VizConnect? So VizConnect is basically a weekly community call in which we talk about how exactly you can go ahead and improve your data visualization and storytelling. It started in May last year, and till now we have hosted 20 sessions. There have been 25 speakers. 5 of them were the Zen Master, 4,000 plus attendees. We have a YouTube channel, so in the case you missed our session, it's all there in the YouTube channel by the name of VizConnect. We have a LinkedIn group in which we have 500 plus members. I will recommend you guys go ahead and join it. I think a lot of great resources waiting for you over there. And these are all the speakers who have presented at VizConnect, and we have got Sarah also today who will be talking about IronQuest. So let me just welcome Sarah. Sarah, thanks a lot for speaking on VizConnect. And just to talk about her, Sarah has been working in data and analytical roles for over 10 years, of which the last 5 years have been spent working with Tableau. Sarah currently works as a BI and analytic consultant for Slalom in London. She's a Tableau social ambassador and the co-leader of the London Tableau user group. Sarah was a finalist in the 2008 European Iron Viz competition, and the experience inspired her to establish IronQuest. And the fun fact about her is that Sarah is a fan of rap and hip hop and Afrobeat music and often publishes videos featuring her favorite artists, which you can go ahead and follow her into the Tableau public page. So Sarah, over to you.
Thank you, Sagar.
Let me just pass it on. Yeah.
Share my screen. Let me know when you can see my slides.
I can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hi everyone, thanks for joining this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. Today I'm going to be talking about IronQuest, the project I started last year, and my motivations for starting it. Sagar's given me a wonderful introduction already, so I won't bore you with any more details, but if you do need to contact me, my Twitter handle and my blog details are at the bottom here, and I'll share them again at the end as well. So before I tell you what IronQuest is, I'm just going to explain my motivations for starting it. So back in 2018, Tableau released the details of the European Iron Viz feeder competition. Now the feeder theme for that round was European cities. So if you're not familiar with Iron Viz and the way that it works, it's a competition that's run by Tableau. They run one competition in Europe and they run another competition that's globally, and the finals at the main Tableau conference in the US. For the main global one, there's 3 feeders, but for the European competition, there's only 1. And basically, with a feeder, you have to go away and visualize a topic or any data on a topic that Tableau have announced. So in this case, it was European cities. We were asked to build a visualization on European cities and touching on that subject any way that we wish. So it could be one city or multiple cities. And then publish a viz that touched on, or it showcased our skills in design, storytelling, and analysis. And they're also the criteria for scoring in the second stage of the Iron Viz competition on stage. So when I was presented with this topic of European cities, I just didn't know where to begin. And this slide kind of sums up like my Google searches for about 3 weeks that month when I was looking for data that could tie into the topic. I knew I didn't want to focus just on one city, so because I thought it would be, a little bit obvious to go, oh, okay, I'm going to do a viz on London or Paris or Berlin or something like that. So I wanted something that touched on multiple cities and maybe not the cities you'd expect. So I was searching and searching and searching and just going around in circles on Google and not really finding any data. And then I came across this website, and this website's called thepriceoftravel.com. And it's aimed at backpackers, and basically it tells you where you can travel on a budget and the cheapest places to travel on a budget in Europe. It lists the cities from the cheapest to the most expensive, and for every city it breaks down the cost of things like transportation, meals, drinks, attractions, etc. And it gives you like an average daily cost of traveling to that city in US dollars. Now, that year Kiev was number 1 on the list. It's actually now number 2. But regardless, this is the way that the website was presented. It had 59 cities presented in exactly this format. Now, I didn't fancy going through the website and manually kind of typing the data into Excel so I could then visualize it in Tableau. And I just couldn't see how I was going to be able to do this effectively, but it was data that I really wanted to use. So I reached out to my friend Lorna Eden. She's also she's a Tableau Public ambassador. I know that Lorna's got really good Alteryx skills and she's great at web scraping. So I said to Lorna, would you mind doing me a favor and scraping this website for me? So she said yes. And then within about 10 minutes, she sent me all the data that I needed in a nice Excel spreadsheet. It was amazing. So thank you, Lorna. And so with that data, I was able to produce a Viz. I actually only ended up looking at the top 5 cheapest cities, but my Viz looks something like this. This is just the top part. It's quite a long form Viz, and it features 5 cities in the same format as Kiev at the bottom. And what I did was I added some more data, so I sourced data on the average rainy days per month and the temperature and just some fun facts about the city. I also built some custom maps in Mapbox so you could just get a feel for what the city looked like. Was it near a river or the sea or anything like that? And there's some interactivity in here and you can click through and go to travel websites to find out more about visiting that city. A lot of this design of this Viz was inspired by just graphical articles I'd seen on Pinterest. And yeah, so that's the Viz that I submitted. I actually came third in the competition, which meant that I earned a place to compete in Iron Viz on stage in London in 2018. I didn't win the competition. Klaus Schuss won, who's now Zen Master, but it was a fantastic experience, and it's something that I look back fondly on. But following that competition that year, I heard a lot of people speaking about Iron Viz once the global feeders were announced, and of which there's 3, and people were saying, oh, I'm not good enough to enter Iron Viz, and I don't think, my skills are up to scratch. And it was in the year previous, in 2017, at the end of the year, the community had actually run a survey with Tableau based on Iron Viz and just to ask people's feedback of the competition and where Tableau could do better. And some of the feedback in terms of people's reasons for not entering were these things. So like people saying they're not confident enough or they didn't have enough time. So generally speaking, a feeder is a month long, and people were saying that just wasn't enough time to produce something of Iron Viz standard. Other people were saying that they were intimidated by other entries, so that they didn't think they were good enough and they were put off by this fantastic work they were seeing on Tableau Public. And then 9% of people said, I'm not going to win, so what's the point of entering? Which may be a little bit sad. I thought, what can I do to stop this? I don't want people not to enter and not to experience Iron Viz. And it's not all about getting onto stage, right? So in the global competitions, I mean, some of the feeders have over 100 entries, so your chance of getting on stage is actually only 1 in 100, so it's pretty slim, even if you produce an amazing Viz. So, and you just learn so much from the experience, and it really pushes you to try new things. So I thought it was important that more people, got involved and had the luxury of just learning from Iron Viz in the process, and also meeting people along the way. And so that was why I founded IronQuest. So IronQuest was launched in January 2019. And the mission of IronQuest was to create a safe space for the community to practice. So sometimes I know we all have best intentions and we want to visualize data, but sometimes you just don't know where to start. And if you don't want to participate in a community project like Make for Monday or Project Health Viz or Sports Viz Sunday, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to know like what to visualize. There's so much out there, you could visualize anything. So I think this was the way that IronQuest works is we provide a topic every month to visualize. So it gives people a starting point and something to work towards. The topics that I provide are diverse. You'll see in a minute, they cover all different areas. So even if it's one month you're not particularly interested in a topic, it doesn't mean to say that there won't be something of interest in a later month. Every month I team up with other community members, so Zen Masters or ambassadors or just other prominent people in the community to provide feedback to anyone that requests it based on their entry. So generally speaking, depending on how many entries we have, we may be on the phone for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, actually providing in-depth feedback on each Viz where feedback has been requested. And that feedback is aligned to the Iron Viz scoring criteria, so design, storytelling, and analysis. And we point out areas where people could improve on those things. So if they were to go then and enter Iron Viz, that they'd be better prepared and know what they should be aiming for. Every month also there's a roundup blog post, and obviously people share the vizzes using the hashtag IronQuest. So it gives them a way to gain exposure to new audiences, and maybe people could discover their work more easily than if they were just publishing vizzes on their own. And ultimately, the idea of IronQuest is to prepare people to enter Iron Viz feeders. But that's by no means a requirement. Like some people that enter IronQuest have no intention of ever entering Iron Viz. It's just a fun way, to practice. And it's worth noting as well, there's no winners with IronQuest. We just have all the entries and showcase them all. There's no winners or losers. So in terms of the IronQuest cycle, it looks something like this. So it begins at number 1 when the topic's announced, and at that point I'll announce what the topic is, and also provide some options for some data. So there'll be a few links in the blog post around data that people could go and use. It's by no means an extensive list, but it's a starting point. And then participants will go away and source their own data. So they may use that data, or they may use data of their own, or they may use multiple data sets. It's a key part of IronQuest really is getting you comfortable with sourcing your own data. I know it's something that I struggled with, as I was explained before, around web scraping, and sometimes the data that we need isn't always in a nice data set like in Excel or in a database. Sometimes we have to kind of make our own data sets, and this is a good practice. So once Iron Viz comes around, you may once you're more versed in that, it can be a little bit easier. And step 3 is you actually go away and build your viz. That's the lengthiest part, I expect. And again, ideally the viz will touch on design, storytelling, and analysis, and try and hit all those points. Once you're ready, you submit the viz. You're just using a Google form or on Tableau Public, and you can share it on social media if you wish. And on that form, there's an option to request feedback. So if you request feedback, then when we get to step 5, myself and a co-host will review your viz and give you some feedback that you have the option of iterating on, and then updating your viz and publishing it again. And then the cycle starts again. Now, it's worth noting as well that the IronQuest only runs outside of Iron Viz season. So if there's an Iron Viz feeder on, whether that be the European one or the global one, IronQuest won't run, because it kind of defeats the object. I'd rather people enter Iron Viz than IronQuest. And so this kind of fills the gaps in between. Hang on. Oh, sorry. So as I said before, the focus of your viz should be on design, storytelling, and analysis, and it should try and hit all these points. So these are the exact same criteria that Iron Viz is scored on, both on the stage and in the feeders. So that in terms of design, try and publish a good, clean design. Take off any unnecessary clutter, and you can get lots of inspiration of design and getting it right, getting the right colors and that kind of thing, just through various different Tableau Public vizzes that you can see out there. Well, even just if you look through the Iron Viz entries and the ones that are scored highly, you can actually see how people have performed on each of these areas. Storytelling is making sure that your viz has a flow, that it tells a story, how it may have like a rising action and then a conclusion and maybe a call for action, depending on the topic. But it's just that it makes sense and it flows nicely. And analysis is how deep you go with your data. So rather than just presenting the data as it is, have you done any deeper analysis? Have you maybe compared metrics together or brought in other data to provide something deeper? So far, we've had 6 challenges. We're currently on the 7th, which I'll explain more about in a minute. The first one that we ran was on crime. Then we did a challenge on business dashboards, which was surprisingly incredibly popular. Then we did one on energy and climate change, sustainability. And then we did one on sea creatures. The next one was a collaboration with Sports Viz Sunday, and the topic was just visualize any sports that you like. And then the most recent one in December was on food and drink. The one we're working on currently is a collaboration with Project Health Viz, and I'll give you more information about that at the end. So based on where we were at the end of the year, there was 160 entries. I think we're up to about 171 now from 100 participants, and we had an incredible 9 visit of the days. A lot of the visit of the days that we have were actually in the Sports Viz Sunday collaboration round. So there was a period of about 2 weeks when I think we had about 3 or 4 Viz's featured as Viz of the Day, which was amazing. It's just really great to see that. It's good exposure for all the authors as well. As you can see here, obviously from the numbers, there's some people that have entered multiple times, multiple rounds. Some people have entered all rounds, and there's also some people that have entered more than one Viz for some of the rounds as well. Just to give you a feel for how popular the rounds have been, as I said before, the business dashboards round was our most popular, and we had 35 entries for that one, followed by sports and then food and drink, and then the other ones were less popular. But I think a lot of it depends on the time of year, and some of these were around, like in between the Iron Viz feeders, so some people are probably tired, you know, from doing so many visualizations. So far, I've had the pleasure to team up with 5 people from the community. So the first month I teamed up with Timothy, who was Iron Viz champion in 2018, global champion. Then Anne Jackson, who's a Zen master, and Mark Bradburn, who's very famous for the community and now works for Tableau. And then Simon Beaumont was my co-host for the Sports Viz Sunday round. He's a Tableau Zen master, and he leads or co-leads the Sports Viz Sunday project. And then I've teamed up with Kevin Flerlich twice on the most recent round, food and drink, and also on energy and sustainability. So just to give you an idea of what some of the entries look like, I'm going to showcase 2 Vizes from each of the rounds so far. And it just to give you a feel for the diversity and the different topics that people have touched upon. So in the first month, we visualized crime. So basically anyone could go away and visualize anything that touched upon the crime topic. So the Viz on the left is by Alex, and he visualized gun deaths in America. So just this beautiful, like shocking, like design, really innovative, just really looks quite striking. And then the Viz on the right is by Mike Cisneros, and he visualized Fiona Apple and the number of times that she'd sung her song, Feeling Like a Criminal, at different venues around the US. So I thought this was a very, very creative take on the topic of crime, and it's super fun and again, great design. And the second month, we looked at business dashboards. So the visualization on the left is by Anna, and Anna's from Poland, and she looked at some police data from Poland, and she actually visualized it in her own language, which was great. And then the visualization on the right is by Kevin Flerlich, and he looked at the money collected by his local church and how they'd spent that money over time. So it's actually a real Viz that he's used at his church. The third month was energy, sustainability, and climate change. The visualization on the left is by Kate Schwab, and she looked at the whaling industry. It's something that's particularly close to her heart. And I really like this Viz because it's just that section at the bottom where she has the whales against a blue background. It's really striking. It makes you feel like the whales are kind of underwater underneath the chart above. And then the visualization on the right is by Michelle Freeman, and she looked at the Flint water crisis. And again, I thought it was a really good use of color for quite a somber topic. So the next round was sea creatures, and the visualization on the left is actually a collaboration between myself and Kevin Flerlich. We found some data on a sea turtle called Bean, and basically she's got a tracker on her back, and she's in Costa Rica, and we can see where she's gone based on the tracker and you know where it's said that she has been. It's quite striking looking at the data for sea turtles and how few actually survive to adulthood. So we took Bean as an example. We provided some real data about Bean and where she's been, and then overlaid that with just some information around sea turtles in general and their life cycle. And we repeat these plum pudding charts going down, so you can see how few sea turtles actually survive to adulthood. And that's both a combination of just natural reasons and also climate change and the threat that they see from the environment and from things like pollution. Now, in contrast, the Viz on the right is by Ash, and this looks at sharks and the shark life cycle, but it's all weaved in with the song Baby Shark. So if you read the song, read the Viz, he repeats the song and then provides some information about sharks. I just thought this was a really, really fun take on the topic. So the next Viz round was on sports. So it was a Sports Viz Sunday collaboration. The visualization on the left is by Kate Schwab. So she's a big tennis fan. So she looked at big 3 famous men in tennis and how they rank against each other. And then the visualization on the right is by Neil Richards, and this was published around the time of the Rugby World Cup, which was in Japan. So he used the Japanese kind of flower theme to overlay that with the matches and match data. So really like striking viz. You can just imagine it being printed off and hung as art on the wall. And then most recently, the food and drink round, which was in December. The visualization on the left is by Maria Brock. So Maria is actually a Tableau student ambassador, and she used Mapbox for the first time to look at Napa Valley and the wineries in Napa Valley. And then in contrast, the visualization on the right is by Kate Schwab, and this is looking at the popularity of Google searches for cocktails around the year. So and over time as well, so we can see how popularity has changed, and some cocktails more popular at other time of the years than others. Again, it's just a really fun design. I'm just going to put a spotlight on a few of the participants that have taken part so far. Some of them have provided some testimonials as to why they love IronQuest so much and the benefits they found from it. So before I do that, I just want to show you where our participants come from. So the number one country for participants is the US, followed by the UK, and then the third is India. As you can see, we've got participants from across the globe. And don't be afraid if you're new to Tableau. There's people that participate that have only just started using Tableau. So 10% of our participants have actually only been using Tableau for less than 3 months. And only 35% have been using Tableau for only over 3 years. So we have a real mix of entries, and as I said, with the feedback, it's a really great way to learn and improve your skills if that's something you want to do. The first author I'd like to spotlight is Meera Umasankar. So Meera is originally from India. She now lives in Singapore, and Meera has been an absolute fantastic participant in this project and supported it since the beginning. She's entered every single round so far, and she also entered every single Makeover Monday last year. Oops. She found that IronQuest gave her a good chance to practice, and she felt so confident as she got through the year that she actually plucked up the confidence to enter the third Iron Viz feeder, which was based on migration, and she actually came 5th out of, I think it was around 80 participants, so she did really, really well. And just to showcase some of Meera's work, the visualization on the left was her first entry in January last year, which was on crime. And then her most recent entry is on the right, which was looking at spices in India. And as you can see, there's a real difference in her design, and you can really see how her skills have improved. And then I've also included her Iron Viz entry, which got her a 5th place. And again, you can see that really great design. And this is a long Viz, so I've had to split it into 2, but I'd strongly encourage you to go and check out her work. She's really great. She also had she was also very kind, and she put together this Viz at the end of the year to showcase all of the IronQuest Vizes that she'd done so far in 2019. And it's interactive, and you can click through and view them all. And this is on her Tableau public profile as well. And the second artist I'd like to showcase is Kate Schwab. So similar to Meera, Kate is a regular participant in Makeover Monday, and she's also participated in all the IronQuest rounds. And she's found that the feedback is given in a safe environment. It makes her feel relaxed and confident to continue and grow her skills. And Kate's skills have come on amazingly well. So the visualization on the left is from the first round back in January, which was on crime, and she focused on Montana, where she's from. And then the visualization on the right is her entry into the Sea Creatures round, which was around about July or August last year. And she actually included some photographs she'd taken of sea turtles herself, because she had the luxury of actually swimming with them previously. And again, it's a really striking Viz, great use of color. And it's almost something you can imagine being used to teach people about sea turtles. Similar to Meera, she's also produced a visualization of all of her 2019 IronQuest Vizes. And again, you can find this on her Tableau public profile. So if you're ready, if you'd like to get involved, I'm going to share more details on how you can. Hopefully you do want to get involved. I strongly encourage it, and like I said before, it's not, even if you have no intention of ever entering Iron Viz, this is just a great way to practice and have some fun. So the current project I have running is a collaboration with Project Health Viz and Lindsay Betzendahl, and it's on healthcare in prisons. So we have provided some data that focuses on mental health in US prisons, and that's available through my blog and also through Lindsay's blog as well. But again, you're under no obligation to use that data set. You can use any data you wish that focuses on this topic. It's a very broad topic. I was surprised at how much data there is out there on this, and also focusing on different countries as well. Now we are coming to the end of the window to submit your Vizes. The deadline is actually the 7th of February, so you don't have long left if you do want to get involved. But there will be another IronQuest round announced straight afterwards, and I can give you a sneak preview that and just give you a heads up that it's going to be on maps. So the next round we'll be asking people to go away and visualize any data, but make sure they include a map in their Viz. So that could be a really good opportunity to get involved and maybe learn Mapbox and just practice your mapping skills, because I know that's something that people often don't have the opportunity to do at work. These are some of the entries that we've seen so far for this current round, so on healthcare and prisons. The visualization on the left is by Divyana from Germany, and she used the mental health data set that we provided. And then the visualization on the right is by Anne, and she looked at the women behind bars and in the US and how that trend's changed over time, and also focusing in on women who are pregnant in prison. Now, if you want some more details, you can find everything that you need on my blog. So on my blog, I have the full introduction to IronQuest, and then there's 2 blog posts per month. So there'll be one to introduce the topic, and then one wrap-up post, which will include all of the visualizations that were submitted with links to those. And then with every post that I post for the to announce topics, you'll include some links to some data sets, as I mentioned before. So you're not completely blind. And then also you'll find the project recaps, and if you go on my Tableau public page, you'll find the recap and so track of it. So you can go on there and again look at all the visualizations that have been submitted and click through to those, and also track your own progress as well if you're participating. So thank you for tuning in. Does anyone have any questions before I continue?
Hey, so Sarah, there is a question over here.
Okay.
Someone is asking, I think you showed cadence on cocktails, right? One of the Viz.
Yes.
Can you, I think they just want to understand, can you explain that Viz, like how exactly that particular participants have gone ahead and created about it?
Oh, I'm not sure how she created it. I'd suggest, let me go back to Kate's Viz. Where are we? Go back. So, it was inspired by the Rhythm of Food, which I think is by Nadia Bremer. She's a famous data visualizer. But I would suggest having a look on Tableau Public. And I'm not sure if Kate made it available for download, but if not, by all means, reach out to Kate. She's on Twitter, and just ask her, because I personally don't know. Sorry.
Hey, no problem with that. So Sarah, I have one question, right? So suppose, what will be your feedback or advice to the people who have just started their Tableau journey? Like, what are the 3 things you will ask them to do, right?
The 3 things. So I'd say, first of all, get involved with the community. So try and connect with people, follow people, whether it be on Twitter or LinkedIn, and just see what other people are doing. I'd say join Tableau Public. That's really important that you join on there and actually start sharing your work. Don't be afraid to share anything that you've produced, and get involved in some community projects. So, I mean, there's a lot out there, so you don't have to do all of them. But Maker of Monday is a really great place to start if you want to just opportunities to visualize data, and it's a fresh data set every week. And also Workout Wednesday is great if you want to take your skills to the next level.
Yep, thank you for that. So if anyone has any questions, you can just go ahead and type it into the chat or the Q&A window. We just browse through if someone has any questions. And there is one more thing which I have basically understood it with respect to the customers I have working, right? So unless and until everyone take it personally, right, I think it's tough for them to go ahead and improve their data visualization and storytelling skills. Like, if I'm taking it personally, I'm going ahead and participating in all the community events, right? I'm not just making it as my 9 to 5 job in which I'm just doing my day-to-day work. So what
Yes.
are your thoughts on it? Like you also have a job, right? So how exactly you balance it with respect to your job and all the community activities which you are doing?
Yes. So I mean, when I first started out, I was only visualizing data at work, and it was quite boring. And I didn't see my skills improving, so I was just doing the same thing day in, day out. And that's why I started getting involved in the community, and I started participating in Making a Monday when it first began. So I would say, if you really are serious about improving your skills, then just try and find some time to participate in the community. And that could just be like 1 hour a week, doing a Making a Monday Viz, for instance. It doesn't need to take a big chunk of your time. A lot of what I do is I actually visualize data on the train. So I have a 45-minute train journey to work and then a 45-minute train journey home. So I try and use that time to actually work on Tableau, and saves me taking time out at home as well.
Wow, well, that's great to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There is a question of there is any option of animation in Tableau.
So we've got kind of animation like coming to the next version of Tableau, which will be out very soon, I believe.
Yeah,
So it's
the
currently
page,
beta, yeah. But
the page being one. Yeah.
yeah. And if you need to reach out to me, all of my details are on the screen here as well.
I'm just seeing if anyone has another question. Can you maybe for the participants who are online, can you just walk us through what are the process to go ahead and submit the Viz if you want to participate in IronQuest?
Yes, so let me just go back to that screen. So this is the process, and then to submit a Viz, there's a Google form. I can put the link in the chat just at the end. But basically, it's on it's available from my blog. So if any of the IronQuest announcement blogs have it at the very end, it's embedded, so you can type your details right in there, and you just add your name, your link to a Viz, and some details about yourself, like whether you're male or female, and also then if you on there you highlight if you'd like feedback or not. And then what we do is we just filter that list of the people that have requested feedback and provide feedback. I'm now publishing that call to YouTube, so it's easier for people to access. Previously, we were sending people just a file via Google. It's just not so accessible. So by publishing it to YouTube, people can listen easily on their phones or if they're out and about. We've actually had people listen to the feedback calls that don't even enter IronQuest, but they just use that to get some ideas and inspiration. And so yeah, and then I'll share the details on Twitter and on LinkedIn with the feedback as well, and I also email participants to let them know the feedback's available.
Thank you. So there is one question by someone, and he's just saying that it's a stupid question, but why is the name IronQuest, please?
It's a good question. So I wanted it's a funny story about the name, but basically I wanted a name that began with iron, and I couldn't think of anything that would be appropriate to put with iron that would make it sound like it was a challenge. And I was actually speaking a lot with Anne Jackson at the time, and we were Googling things, and we came up with all these stupid names. And then I happened to reach out to Cesar Pico. He's based in Washington, D.C. He's a big name in the Tableau community, and I just mentioned to him, he's like, Cesar, I'm really struggling with this, I can't think of a name. And he was like, what about IronQuest? And I was like, you know what, that's actually really, really good. I'm going to go with it. So that's the story behind the name. The iron bit is important, so it ties back to Iron Viz. And the reason Iron Viz is called Iron Viz is because it's based on a TV show in the US called Iron Chef, which I've never seen, but apparently it's quite famous if you're American.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I think last couple of questions. One question is maybe, do you want to suggest the date, basically the website in which they can go ahead and search for data? Maybe the top three, if you want to just name them. Yeah.
That's a tough question. So there's now a Google dataset search engine. So if you just go on Google and type Google datasets, it will come up. And that's almost like a repository which will take you through to lots of different datasets, which is quite useful. There's various different repositories out there. So you've got the Make of a Monday dataset. So I believe they've probably got around 250 data sets on their site. So every weekly Makeover Monday data set that's ever been is available on there. That's a great resource and it covers so many different topics. And also the information is beautiful website. They've published all of their data sets as well, so there's a real diverse mix of data on there. But I mean, I'd say, even if you just look for government agencies, there's quite a lot of data to be found that way as well.
Perfect. And maybe, do you want to recommend any data visualization or storytelling books to the attendees?
Yeah,
what
so
do
my
you follow?
favorite one is Storytelling with Data by Cole Nussbauer Knaflic. I think that's a really, really good book to get you started with data storytelling. That would be my number one recommendation for that topic.
Perfect, Sarah. I think I'm just searching if you have a last question. So the book name is Storytelling by Data by Cole.
Storytelling with Data. Yeah.
Storytelling with Data. Sorry.
Yeah. She also has a website as well and a really great blog and a podcast, and she has a monthly challenge. She has everything. So if you look at her website, it's storytellingwithdata.com, I believe. You can find all the details on there. She's actually got 2 books now. So the second book is more of a practical exercises book. So there's exercises in there you can do to help improve your storytelling skills.
Right. And one last question I have is about Tableau certification. There was a question. Do you want to talk about something like if a person wants to prepare for Tableau certification, what will be your advice for them?
Yeah, so I've actually got 2 blog posts on that. So I've taken both desktop certified associate and the professional exams. I've got blog posts on each of my blogs, so you can check that out and get some tips on there. And that they also link through to other people's blogs as well.
Perfect. And I think I will just take that blog and send it to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2. So yeah, I've written both after I took the exams. So.
Perfect. So thanks a lot, Sarah. I think it was great to have you on VizConnect. Thanks for sharing with us with IronQuest. And I'm positive that I'm positive a lot of people will go ahead and participate in that, and we'll see more entries from APAC now. Yeah.
That would be fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Have a great week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. We'll see you next week with another VizConnect section. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend ahead.